Some people discovered a command. They spoke it once, and by the next morning, they were rich. Not weeks later, not after years of struggle. Overnight. What did they say? Why did it work? And why does money respond instantly when most people wait their whole lives? Here's the truth. Money doesn't argue. It doesn't think. It doesn't decide. It obeys. And for years, you've been commanding without knowing it. Every word you spoke, money followed. Every doubt, every sigh, every careless line, it obeyed. That's why the rich keep getting richer. They're not lucky. They're not chosen. They've learned how to speak the one command money cannot resist. Neville Goddard said, "Your word is law." And tonight, you'll see what happens when you finally speak with law. Because once you know this command, you won't beg, you won't hope, you'll declare, and large sums of money will have no choice. And when you finally speak it, you'll understand why money has no choice. You've been told a lie about money your whole life. They told you it's slow, that it takes years, that only the right people, the educated, the connected, the lucky, ever break free. And yet, something doesn't add up. Why do some people, with no degree, no connections, no reason to succeed, suddenly explode into wealth out of nowhere? Why does someone who was broke yesterday wake up today with millions, while another person, working themselves to the bone, can't even pay rent? It's not hard work. It's not education. It's not luck. It's command. Because while most people speak like beggars, a few discovered how to speak like rulers. Think about it. The average person says, "I can't afford that. I'll never get ahead." Money is tight. And money, like a loyal servant, obeys. It tightens. It hides. It slips through their fingers. But when someone shifts, when someone stops speaking like a beggar and starts declaring like a ruler, money obeys differently. They don't say, "I hope." They don't say, "Maybe one day." They don't even say, "I want." They declare, and wealth comes. History is full of these examples. Men and women who rose from nothing, who had no business becoming wealthy, and yet did, almost as if reality bent overnight to their word. Neville Goddard put it this way: "You command by assumption, not by wishing, not by waiting, but by standing as though the thing were already yours, and daring to speak from that place." And here's what most people miss. It doesn't matter if you believe in manifestation. It doesn't matter if you think this is mystical or not. Because the truth is, you've already been commanding. Every complaint, every sigh, every sentence you mutter under your breath has been a command. When you said, "I'll always struggle," money listened. When you said, "I can't keep it," money obeyed. When you said, "It's hard to make," money tightened the doors. This isn't new. It's not magic. It's law. Your words are law. And if you doubt it, just look at your life right now. Look around you. Your current bank account, your current reality. It's the echo of the words you've been speaking. The question is, do you want to keep speaking like that? Because some people wake up one morning and they're done. Done begging. Done hoping. Done asking. And in that moment, they speak differently. And when they do, reality doesn't take years to adjust. It bends overnight. Now, here's what I want you to realize. Most people think money is complicated, that it has rules, restrictions, that it follows some logic of the economy. But strip all of that away. Money itself is just energy, and energy does not argue. It doesn't say, "Wait until you're older." It doesn't say, "Sorry, you're not ready." It doesn't say, "You need more qualifications." Energy obeys the strongest command. That's why you've seen people less talented, less experienced, less prepared, yet wealth falls into their lap. Because they spoke differently, they commanded differently, and reality had no choice but to bow. So here's the truth you need to sit with. Money is not waiting for the perfect moment. It's waiting for the perfect command. The command that does not beg. The command that does not ask. The command that carries authority. And once you know it, everything changes. I want you to feel that for a moment. Imagine speaking a sentence tonight. Not a prayer, not a hope, but a command. And by tomorrow morning, life bends. The doors you thought were locked swing wide. The opportunities you thought were impossible rush to you. The money you thought would take years to earn appears in days, even hours. That's what happens when you finally speak the command. And it's closer than you think. You're about to hear the words that have made people rich overnight. If you're serious about never begging money again, make sure you subscribe right now, because this is only the beginning. Because the deeper we go in this video, the more your old way of speaking will collapse. You'll feel it. You'll hear yourself and realize, I've been begging. And by the time you reach the command itself, you'll be ready. Ready to speak differently. Ready to declare. Ready to command. And let me warn you, once you speak it, you cannot go back. Your life cannot remain the same. The current version of you, the one who doubts, who fears, who struggles, will vanish. Because the command is not a wish. It's not something you repeat mindlessly like an affirmation. It's the sentence that flips the entire structure of reality in your favor. So stay here. Don't move. Because each second you watch, we're pulling closer to the edge. And when we cross it, you'll understand why people wake up rich after speaking just once. But let me ask you this before we go further. Are you still commanding like a beggar? Think about what you said today. Think about the words you spoke about money. Did you sigh about bills? Did you complain about prices? Did you tell someone it's too expensive? Because if you did, money heard it. And it obeyed. That's why you are where you are. Not because of fate, not because of chance, but because your word has been law all along. And now, it's time to change the law. We're only at the beginning. But soon, I'll give you the exact words. The command money cannot resist. And, once you speak them, wealth will move towards you with no delay. Stay with me. Because the further we go, the more the old illusion shatters. And the closer we come to the command. Think back to your childhood. Do you remember the first time someone told you money was hard? Maybe it was your parents whispering about bills. Maybe it was a teacher telling you to be realistic. Maybe it was just the way adults sighed every time the topic came up. And, without realizing it, you absorbed that sigh, that tone, that command. Because words don't only come from your mouth. They come from the voices you accepted as law. And since then, you've been repeating it. Every time you said, I can't, you were just echoing them. Every time you muttered, I don't have enough, you were repeating what was planted in you years ago. But here's the shocking part. It worked. It worked too well. The command you didn't even know you were speaking became your reality. And every dollar, every opportunity, every chance at wealth bent to those words. This is why it feels like you've been trapped. Because you weren't trapped by the system. You were trapped by the words you kept repeating. And if that feels heavy to hear, good. Because you need to feel the weight of it before you can shift it. Neville Goddard said, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. And what is conception, if not the story you keep speaking? Here's what most people never notice. Your life right now is a script. And every line of that script has been written by your own tongue. Look at your patterns. The person who always says, I'm broke, stays broke. The one who jokes, I'll never be rich, never is. Even the one who shrugs, money comes and goes, lives in a cycle where it never stays. That's not coincidence. That's command. And here's the frightening truth. Command doesn't care if you were joking. It doesn't care if you were just venting. It doesn't care if you didn't mean it. Money isn't sentimental. It doesn't filter your words. It simply obeys. So the question is, what have you been commanding? Let's test it. Close your eyes for a moment and remember the last time you got paid. What words came out of your mouth? Did you say, finally, now I can pay these bills? Did you sigh, this won't last long? Did you mutter, I wish it were more? If you did, congratulations. You just commanded your money to vanish, shrink, or slip away. And the proof? Look at your account now. That's why the rich seem untouchable. Not because they're smarter, not because they're chosen, because they refuse to speak like beggars. They don't sigh when money arrives. They don't curse when money leaves. They speak as though wealth is already theirs. And so, it is. Now, let me ask you something uncomfortable. What have your words done to you? How many times did you command money away without knowing it? How many years did you delay your wealth by repeating sentences that sabotaged you? How many mornings did you wake up poorer, not because of the world, but because of your own law? That's the sting. But it's also the doorway. The deeper we go, the more the illusion shatters. And when I reveal the command, you'll never speak the same again. So pause for just a second and subscribe. You do not want to miss what's coming next. Because if your careless words had the power to keep you broke, imagine what your intentional words will do when you finally speak as a ruler. You see, you're not powerless. You never were. You've simply been commanding the wrong way. And this is why, when the command is finally revealed in this video, it won't feel like magic. It will feel inevitable. Because you'll realize money has been obeying you all along. The only difference is, now you'll speak differently. Now, you'll speak with law. And when you do, the shift is instant. That's why people wake up rich overnight. Not because they stumbled on luck, but because their command finally matched the authority they always had. But let me take you even deeper. There's a reason this feels eerie. A reason this feels dangerous. Because once you see how absolute your words are, you can never go back. You'll hear your own mouth differently. You'll catch yourself mid-sentence and realize, I just gave an order to my reality. And once that awareness clicks, your old way of speaking dies. It cannot survive. Because you'll know too much. That's where we are right now. You're already beginning to notice the echoes. You're remembering the sentences. You're feeling the proof in your own life. And it's pulling you closer. Closer to the command that doesn't just change something. It changes everything. So stay here. Don't skip. Don't look away. Because in a few moments the exact words will be revealed. And once they are, your life will never obey the same way again. There's a reason you're still here. It's not just curiosity. It's not just suspense. It's because something inside you already knows the truth. Your voice was never weak. It was never small. It was law. But here's the problem. You didn't know it. Nobody told you. And so, instead of speaking as a ruler, you spoke like everyone else, repeating doubts, begging for change, hoping things would improve. And reality obeyed. Not because you asked, but because your voice always carried the weight of law. Think about it. Every time you muttered, I can't, it became law. Every time you sighed, it's too hard, it became law. Every time you whispered, I'll never make it, it became law. And life followed. That's why it feels like money slips away from you. Not because you're cursed, not because you're unlucky, but because the universe has no choice but to follow the law you already spoke. Now, here's where things turn. There are people who wake up and finally realize it. They look at their own life and see the echo of their words. And in that instant, they stop speaking carelessly. They stop complaining. They stop begging. They stop repeating weakness. And when they do, something terrifying happens. Reality bends. Not slowly, not years later, immediately. Because when you finally recognize that your voice is law, you stop treating it like a suggestion. You stop speaking like everyone else. And you begin to declare. This is why people rise from nothing to everything. It's why someone broke yesterday wakes up rich today. Because once they understand the authority of their own voice, everything changes. Neville Goddard hinted at this when he said, your word is law. He didn't mean metaphor. He meant reality has no filter. It simply echoes the decree you've already spoken. Here it is, the moment we've been circling around. The reason some people wake up rich while others struggle their whole lives. The secret that was hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to finally hear it. Listen carefully, because once you hear these words, you'll never be able to unhear them. And once you speak them, your reality will never obey the same way again. The command is this: my voice is the law. Say it again in your mind. Feel it. Let the weight of it sink into your chest. My voice is the law. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Now. Because the instant you declare it, everything shifts. Think about what this means. It means you don't beg, you don't ask, you don't hope, you declare. And when you do, reality obeys. Money obeys. Wealth obeys. Because your voice was never weak, it was always law. You just didn't know it. That's why your old words trapped you. That's why your careless sighs became prisons. That's why you kept circling the same struggle. But now, the prison door is wide open. Because once you say, my voice is the law, every sentence that follows carries authority. Every declaration becomes binding. Every word reshapes reality. So imagine saying tonight, my voice is the law. Money flows to me now. And it does. Imagine saying, my voice is the law. I am rich beyond measure. And it becomes so. Imagine saying, my voice is the law. Large sums of money are mine already. And they appear. This is the command the rich live by. Not written in their books, not taught in their schools, but whispered in their results. Because every wealthy person already speaks as though their voice is the law. That's why doors open for them. That's why opportunities chase them. That's why money bends around them like gravity. And starting tonight, it bends for you. Say it out loud if you dare. My voice is the law. Feel how heavy it lands. Feel how different the air feels after those words leave your mouth. It's not just a phrase, it's a sentence that rewrites reality. It's the moment your tongue stops being a prisoner and becomes a throne. From this moment, you do not speak casually about money. You do not sigh about lack. You do not mutter weakness. Because your voice is law, and law cannot be careless. Every word is a decree. Every sentence is a command. Every sound you release is a force reality cannot resist. That's why people who spoke this command woke up changed. That's why their lives bent overnight. Because the universe does not ignore law. It obeys it. When you declare, my voice is the law, your life bends instantly. And if you want more decrees like this, the kind of words that shift reality the moment you speak them, subscribe now, because each new message here will sharpen your authority. So now you've heard it. The command that bends reality. My voice is the law. But why does it work? Why can a simple sentence carry such terrifying power? Why do some people declare it once and watch their life turn overnight, while others spend years struggling? To answer that, we need to go deeper, not into fantasy, not into wishful thinking, but into truth, the truth that has been whispered by mystics, taught by teachers, and proven by science itself. 1. The ancient secret of the word. Long before money existed, before banks, before numbers on a screen, civilizations knew this. The spoken word creates reality. In the beginning of every tradition, you'll find it. In the beginning was the word, not the idea, not the thought, the word. Because the word doesn't just describe reality, it commands it. The Egyptians believed speech carried heka, magic power, a living force that bent reality. The Hebrews believed the name of a thing was its essence, and to speak, it was to give it life. Even in modern times, we see it. Oaths, contracts, declarations, all words, all law. Your ancestors understood. When you speak, you're not pushing air, you're releasing command. Neville Goddard echoed this when he said, your word is law. He wasn't being poetic, he meant literally, the words you speak are stamped into reality, and reality has no choice but to echo them back. So when you say, my voice is the law, you're not creating a new power. You're remembering the one you always had. 2. The subconscious obeys voice. Here's what psychology shows us. Your subconscious mind doesn't argue. It doesn't debate. It doesn't decide. It obeys. And the primary way it receives command? Through voice. Every time you speak, you are programming yourself. When you say, "I'm broke," your subconscious writes it down as fact. When you say, "I can't afford it," it stamps that as law. When you joke, "Money comes and goes," your subconscious enforces the cycle. It doesn't matter if you laughed when you said it. It doesn't matter if you were frustrated. Your subconscious cannot tell the difference. It hears the voice, and it obeys. That's why affirmations work, not because the words are magic in themselves, but because the voice imprints the subconscious, and the subconscious bends reality to match. Now take that principle and multiply it. Not just saying any phrase, but saying the sentence that declares once and for all, "My voice is the law." When you speak this, your subconscious has no escape. It cannot argue. It cannot delay. It cannot sabotage, because you're not giving it a suggestion. You're handing it law. 3. The science of frequency and energy. Let's step into the modern lens for a moment. Every word you speak is vibration. Your vocal cords create frequency. That frequency carries energy, and energy never disappears. It moves, it interacts, it reshapes. That's why music shifts your emotions, why certain sounds can calm you or terrify you. Because vibration carries power. When you declare, "My voice is the law," you're not only shaping your subconscious, you're vibrating that authority into the field of reality itself. Money, at its core, is energy. Wealth is movement, flow, exchange. And energy recognizes authority. It doesn't ask if you're worthy. It doesn't wait for permission. It responds to the strongest frequency. And the strongest frequency is a voice that carries law. That's why you feel a chill when you hear certain speeches. That's why history turns when leaders declare with authority. Because a voice spoken as law doesn't just echo, it bends reality itself. 4. Why the rich obey. This law without knowing. It ever noticed how wealthy people speak differently? They don't say, "I can't afford it." They don't sigh, "Money never stays." They don't mutter, "It's too hard." They say things like, "I always win." Money flows. There's always more. And guess what? Reality obeys. Because without knowing it, they live as though their voice is law. And so it is. Meanwhile, those who struggle speak weakness constantly, and reality obeys just as faithfully. This is why you see the gap between rich and poor growing. It's not just about opportunity, it's about command. Both sides are commanding. Both sides are obeyed. But only one side commands riches. Now, you're crossing over. Because once you speak, "My voice is the law," you step onto the side of rulers. Not beggars, not chasers, rulers. 5. Why this command feels dangerous. If you felt a chill hearing this, it's not an accident. Because deep down, you already know it's true. You know your words have shaped your life. You've seen the proof. And now, the realization hits. If your careless words had the power to keep you broke, then your deliberate words have the power to make you rich. That's why this feels dangerous. Because once you accept it, there's no escape. You can't pretend your words don't matter anymore. You can't mutter weakness without realizing you just wrote law against yourself. You can't complain without hearing the echo of your own decree. This is where life changes permanently. Because awareness kills the old you and awakens the ruler. 6. How to use it tonight. So how do you actually use this command? Simple, but not casual. Stand still, breathe deep, and declare out loud, "My voice is the law." Pause, feel the weight of it in the air. Then add whatever decree you choose. Say, "My voice is the law. I am rich now." "My voice is the law. Large sums of money obey me." "My voice is the law. Wealth flows endlessly to me." Don't repeat it like an affirmation. Declare it like a verdict. This isn't a mantra. This is law. And the more you speak from this authority, the more reality bends. Not slowly, not eventually, immediately. 7. The final proof. Still doubt it? Look back at your life. Every fear you spoke, didn't it come true? Every limitation you repeated, didn't it lock in? Every complaint you voiced, didn't it echo back into your reality? That was law, your law. Now imagine if every word had been the opposite. If every complaint had been a declaration of wealth. If every sigh had been a command of abundance. Your life would be unrecognizable. And starting tonight, it will be. Because now you know. Now you carry the sentence that changes everything. My voice is the law. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 24 hours, watch your words like a hawk. Catch every sentence. And replace weakness with law. If you want money, don't say I hope. Say, my voice is the law. Money flows to me now. If you want freedom, don't say one day. Say, my voice is the law. I am free already. If you want wealth, don't say, I wish. Say, my voice is the law. I am wealthy now. Because the universe doesn't argue. It doesn't debate. It doesn't delay. It obeys. And now, for the first time in your life, you're speaking as the ruler you were always meant to be. That's why this command works. Because your voice has always been the law. And now, instead of commanding weakness, you command wealth. Stay with me. Because in the next segment, I'll show you exactly how to live this daily. So the law of your voice doesn't just bring money once. It keeps bringing it endlessly. So this is it. The moment where the old story ends and the new one begins. From this point on, you don't speak lightly. You don't beg. You don't hope. You declare. Because now you know the truth. Your voice is the law. And every time you open your mouth, reality listens. Money listens. Wealth listens. And they obey. So go out from this video carrying that authority. Walk as the ruler you are. Speak as the lawgiver you've always been. And watch how quickly life bends, money moves, and fortune bows before your word. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying until the very end. Because the ones who stay to the end are the ones ready to rise. If this spoke to you, declare it in the comments right now. My voice is the law. Seal it into your timeline. Make it echo through reality. And subscribe, because this is only the beginning. More messages are waiting, each one sharpening your authority, each one reminding you who you really are. You're not just watching another video. You've stepped into a different world. A world where your word is final. A world where your voice is the law. And for that reason, wealth, abundance, freedom, they're already yours. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.